podcast company, and many of you know that myself and the artists go out into schools and the community doing workshops to get people really creative, and we do like paper and cardboard as part of that process, but we're unable to do that at the moment, so we are recording a workshop for you so that you can start creating at home. And we're going to try and use lots of things that we can find around the house to make stuff. And we're going to do this every Thursday leading up to Easter. So that's 3 workshops that we're going to film. And each time we're going to be making something for Easter. So hopefully your house is going to be absolutely full of Easter creations once we get to Easter weekend. This is entirely free, but we are still fundraising for projects, because when we are allowed out of our houses, we are going to go back into schools and we're going to do loads of creative stuff. So if you would like to help us raise some money, I can offer you a really fab incentive. We are raffling off this hamper, bear with me. It is full of crafts and chocolate, which I think actually is the winning formula, and all you have to do is text to enter into the competition, and we'll draw the prize on Good Friday. There's details on the screen, so please enter. It only costs £3 on your SMS text message, and there's loads of terms and conditions that we'll post up. But yeah, you could win all of this, which certainly is going to help to motivate you if you've got the chocolate. But today we're not using this hamper, we're going to use stuff from around the house. And we are going to be making some cardboard daffodils. I've made these from things that I found around the house, from cardboard boxes to egg cartons. So I'm hoping you'll be able to find all the materials and we can all make some daffodils to either cheer ourselves up or cheer someone else up. Because did you know that if you give a bouquet of daffodils to someone, it grants them happiness? But interesting fact, don't ever give them just one daffodil. Apparently that's bad luck. So you need to make more than one daffodil, whatever you do. Okay, so here we go, step 1. Okay, so what we need for the first step is we're going to make the centre part of the daffodil, which is actually called the trumpet. Technically, interesting fact, it's also called the corona. So that's interesting. So we're going to just make this centre part first, and we're going to need an egg carton. You'll notice that obviously you've got the round bits where the eggs go in, but you've also got the pointy bits that go in the middle, and we actually need these pointy bits to make the trumpet. So they're quite easy to rip out because they're just made of paper. So I'm going to rip out, there's one, I'm going to have another one, I'll do 2. 2 trumpets, so there you go, we've got 2 of those, leave that bit. Right, so we've got 2 of those. Now, I have made 2 types of trumpets, you may have noticed, 2 very different ones. This one was actually painted, so if you've got some paint at home, you could simply just paint the trumpet in the colour that you want for your daffodil. Just for the sake of this demo, I'm not going to do that, I'm going to do a paper covered one. And I'll show you how to make that. So I did manage to find some yellow paper at home. Depends what your supplies are like. So I've got one piece of paper here. And I actually used the corner of my paper. So I'm laying my trumpet on the corner and I'm just very roughly making a triangle with a rounded edge on the corner. So it's certainly wider than your trumpet. Okay, so we've drawn that mark on, so I'm just going to cut that out. I'm not one for exact sciences when it comes to creativity, so you can see I haven't done any measuring or anything. I don't think that's entirely necessary. So on this case, we're going to have to glue that paper onto the trumpet. So I've actually, I mean, if you've got PVA, you could use that, but I'm just using a good old glue stick, which I think most people have in their house. If I could get the lid off, that's really good for the camera, isn't it? Okay, we're off. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cover that entire trumpet with glue, making sure it's really well covered. because I'm going to wrap the paper around that piece of egg carton. So if you can see, I'm going to just wrap that up. Okay, so you can see that that's all stuck on really nicely. I'm just making sure it is stuck. So it looks a little bit like a cone, I suppose. It's a bit bigger than your trumpet, but that's a good thing. I'm going to use my scissors just to snip off the excess at the bottom, because actually we will need to get into the bottom of that. And this excess here, I need to snip 1, 2, 3, 4, because with my finger I'm just going to fold these bits of paper into the trumpet to neaten it up. If you want to add a bit of glue, you might want to, just to hold it in place. I can see some of mine is actually coming up, so I am going to add a bit of glue to the paper just to hold it in place, sticking it down as I go along. I'm going to do a few more dabs of glue. That one needs a bit of glue. I'm going to do another snip as well. Sometimes you need more than 4 snips. There we go. I don't mind that it's not a straight edge around my trumpet. I think that makes it a little bit more like a daffodil, because they do have a frilly edge generally if you look closely at them. So there we go. We've got the first part. We've got our trumpet complete. Okay, step number 2. We need to make the petals, and I've made them with 5 petals, but you may wish to make them with more than that, 6 petals. So there's a 6 petal one and a 5 petal one. I've tried different types of petals actually. I've used some of the rest of the yellow paper that I had, but I have also, if you haven't got yellow paper, go raid your recycling boxes, because I've found loads of packaging that has yellow on, and I think that gives it a really nice, unique look. So I've got some bits and pieces that I've raided out of my recycling bin. I've got the chicken stock cubes and some gluten-free Jaffa cakes, and you can see it's predominantly yellows and oranges. So I think I'm going to use these to make some of the petals. I'm going to use the reverse side to draw my petals out before I cut them out. I was thinking about how I was going to demonstrate drawing this, because I tend to be freehand when I'm drawing the petals. But I did work out a little system that works quite well for me. And the idea is you draw a star first, a 5-pointed star or even a 6-pointed star. So I'll start with a 5-pointed star. So I'm going to draw a star on my yellow packaging, but on the back of the box. So you can see that I've got 5 points. And then on each of the points will become petals. I just need to make them a bit curvier. So I'm going to just round off those stars into curves. So now I'm going to do a 6-pointed star. 6-pointed stars are 2 triangles. I've done 1 triangle and I'm doing another triangle. So there you go. I'm not very good at doing 6-pointed stars, but anyway, it's a starting point, and then you can again make your triangle leaves into more rounded leaves. So I've drawn my petals. This one's really bad, so I'm going to go with this one. And simply I'm going to cut it out. I've got my super duper scissors. These are some of my favourite ones. I'll just show you on camera, look. Laser beam scissors. I don't think they're very useful making daffodils, but they're good scissors nevertheless. So I'm going to try and do this as quickly as possible so you're not all just hanging on tenterhooks. But you're going to cut out your petals, 1 per daffodil that you're making. I'm sure I made some earlier. I did! I was like Blue Peter, I actually had one I made earlier. There you go, I've cut one out. So once you've cut it out, you should have something like that. I'm going to move those out of the way. So what you'll need to do is you'll need to make a hole, and I use a pencil to make a hole in the middle of my petals. So I'm simply going to push my pencil through to make a hole like that. If you're struggling to get a hole, maybe an adult could help you, just to use some scissors just to make a little indent there. So you've got that part, and you've now got that part. Okay, so step 3 is we need to put these two together to make the flower head, and we need to put it on a stem. So the stem is the stick of the flower. Now I've got, I found these around the house. I've got some different paper straws. I've got white ones and brown ones, but I don't think, I mean, if you've got green, that's amazing, but I don't think it matters what colour straws you find. So the first thing you need to do is obviously put your petals onto the straw. So I'm going to, that hole that you made with the pencil should work, she says. There we go. So I've managed to squeeze that stem onto the petals, just like that. And then what you may have noticed is on your egg carton trumpet, there is already a hole in most egg cups. If not, just use your pencil again. You could probably make that a bit bigger. And that's going to be a nice snug fit for your straw. It fits on absolutely perfectly. So you could leave your flowers like this, but there is a chance that they might come off the stem. So I would recommend a bit of glue or a little bit of tape. You could either put a bit of tape around the bottom, or you could just put a little glue around the bottom. Just for ease on this demonstration, I'm using my glue gun. You might not have one of those. You could use PVA glue if you wanted to. All sorts of things you could use to make it stick. Use your problem-solving skills in that respect. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue around the edge of the trumpet so that those two bits are going to stick together. And I think you'll probably find that's enough. You don't even need to put any at the bottom. You just need a little bit to stick those two together. So there you go, you have got a daffodil there to go with all the other daffodils that I've been making. So the next step is sort of making a vase that looks a little bit like the leaves. And I used a cardboard box that I found. It's a, I don't know, a little medicine box or some sort of tablet box. So you're going to need a box to make your vase. So this is one that I found. You'll need to assemble one end, so you can see it's a bit like that, but we don't want those flappy bits, so we're going to cut those off. You can have it as tall or as shallow or short as you like, although I wouldn't have it too shallow because you do need to have it so that your daffodils can sit in it nicely. So I'm going to go with about that height. So we need to make it a little bit more spring-like with a bit of greenery around it. So again, I looked around the house. I did have a bit of green paper, but I also noticed that I had quite a lot of packaging that had green. You might be able to find some, I don't know, like your wrapping paper or maybe other packaging that you might find that has green on. And I think all these things will add all of the different colours and the textures that you might need. So you need to cut some really nice leaves for your vase. So in this case, sort of long, thin leaves. I'm going to do some on this piece of paper here. So it's got to be obviously taller than your box. So I've just laid that on, so I've got a rough idea that I don't want my leaves to be any sort of shorter than that, really. So I'm going to start with some pencil, just with a pencil. I'm just going to do some really nice leaves like that. If you're really clever, when you cut them, you might get double the amount of leaves. So I'm just going to cut these and show you what I mean by that. So I'm going to cut that piece of paper. I'm going to cut up along the lines. It's a bit tricky because you're going backwards and forwards on yourself. Am I showing this properly, the camera? Hope you can all see this okay. Did you know that daffodils are the national Flower of Wales. I often see them all on their celebrations for St David's Day. I don't know when St David's Day was. I think that was in February, wasn't it? Actually, I might have made that up, so I won't quote me on that at all. Okay, so look, I've cut out some leaves. So I've got 2 sets of leaves because they sort of use the same bit of paper, the negative of each other. Can you see how I've done that? So there we go. So we've got some leaves there. I've got some other leaves here just to add a little bit of texture and colour. And there's my box. So really simply, we're just going to glue these leaves on and around my box. So again, I'm going to use my Pritt stick to cover the box. Oops. I've done 3 sides there. Mustn't forget to do my 4th side as well. You want to go all the way around your box. So I'm wrapping the leaves all the way around. I'm getting a bit sticky doing this, but hey, we can wash our hands afterwards. And I'm also going to get this one. I need to put a bit more glue on this side. I don't know if you can hear that crunching, but that's my cat eating biscuits as I do this demonstration. Very strange sound effects for this demonstration. I think she's always wanted to be famous. Okay, so there we go. So I've got some leaves on, but it would be really nice if I could add just a few more leaves for a bit of colour. So maybe with these ones it might be easier to actually put the glue on those and then stick it on that way. However works for you, whatever glue you're working with, do your thing. Okay, a bit more. I might put some round here. Sticking these on, and I've got a little bit on this side as well. There we go. So I've added quite a lot of colour there just to make that look a bit more interesting. So there we go. So I've got the vase, I've got the leaves, and now I just need to put my bouquet of daffodils into the vase. They should, in theory, stand, but if you find that they're a little bit top heavy and they're not standing properly, then perhaps you could just get a stone or something with weight. I've got some little pebbles here. If I just put those into the vase, they're just going to be a bit heavier and they'll hold their own. So there we go. I've got 5 daffodils in a vase to decorate the house for Easter. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed our online tutorial. It was like our first workshop to do this, so I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you're going to make loads of daffodils. We'd love to see what you create, so please post us your photos of what you've created and how you've decorated your house. Just post them on our social media pages so that we can see, and in fact you might as well like our page so that you can follow other activities that we're going to be doing every Thursday leading up to Easter. Next week you're going to have to find some toilet roll tubes, so you need to start saving this week because you're going to need them to make some Easter characters. And in the meantime, if you really enjoyed this tutorial, please support us. We're desperately trying to fundraise for more art projects for when we return to schools, and we really feel passionate about bringing creativity to young people. So donate into our online raffle, and you just have to text the numbers on the page and on the screen here. So just donate away. You might win some chocolate and some crafts. Look at what you could have if you win.